The story, I'm joined by Amos Monyela, the provincial chairperson of Cosatu, Gauteng. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. What are you planning to say to President Cyril Ramaphosa when you meet?
First and foremost, good evening to yourself and the viewers of SABC. I think the critical issues that are going to be dealt with in that meeting will also be hashed out at the Central Executive Committee of the Federation. But then amongst those issues, as you have already heard the General Secretaries, that amongst those issues, the unbundling of ESCOM and non-consultation on the basis of that kind of an unbundling. But then there might be other issues which might arise in the meeting, wherein they should be threshed out between the Federation and the President of the country.
One of the things that has been expressed by Cosatu is that privatization is going to lead to possible job losses. But there's been a consistent narrative from the President that unbundling doesn't mean that ESCOM is going to be privatized.
See, who are in the trade union movement, and we know the tongues of those who are implementing some of the things. So they can call it in different names. But then our experience is that where you change the structure of an institution and where you change the structure of a company, there will be decimation of jobs. So therefore we're cautious. We don't want to lose him. History will repeat itself, wherein at Telkom they started to talk about good things, and then what did they do? They went there and trenched workers. Post office, they spoke good language. What did they do? They went there and trenched workers. So we are cautious of about what the president is saying. So the unbundling to us is tantamount to job losses. So unless if they're giving the Federation a plan, because you cannot go out there and announce something when you do not have a plan. So there is no plan as yet. So we need to hear the plan from the president in relation to unbundling. How is it going to affect workers? Will there be any retrenchment, as we are suspecting that there will be retrenchment? Remember, there has been talks that they need to downsize ESCOM. They started with the top management. Initially, they wanted to start with blue-collar workers, 30,000 to give the numbers. But then through the noises that we've been making, so they reversed that thing and then they went to senior management. But then we're thinking that when they come to this thing, there will be a process wherein blue-collar workers are going to be affected. So therefore, we need to be given a plan. You would have seen even the Minister of Public Enterprise. He was, he was not even clear on what the plan is. He still has to appoint some task team, because we are now used to this government appointing task team everywhere else. So he's still going to appoint a task team. They just don't know what is going to happen on this thing. So we just need that kind of consultation, assurity that jobs are not going to be decimated.
Speaking of noises that you've been making, there were reports earlier on today that Cosatu threatened to withdraw its support of the ANC over this very issue. And later on, there was reports that, no, you are going to support them. So what's the real issue there? And is it also not ringing hollow that Cosatu threatens to withdraw support of the ANC and then doesn't?
Well, I'm the chair of Cosatu in Gauteng, and I've never heard anybody in Gauteng saying we are going to withdraw the support of the ANC come the elections. In fact, we had the press conference because this thing has been said in the media that Gauteng is the one that said if all of this whole range of issues are not resolved, so therefore we are not going to campaign for the African National Congress. Let me assure everyone else here that Cosatu is going to campaign for the African National Congress. By the way, I also sit in the PET of the African National Congress in ensuring that we work the ground. What we said at the press conference on Monday, we said that the Federation took a resolution last year, and then in that resolution it said we will support the African National Congress in the coming election in a reconfigured alliance, and in an event where the reconfigured alliance is not happening, we will consider post 2019 the position that we will want to take in future elections. So that's what we said, and then Sowetan has even confirmed what we said, because Business Day distorted what we said there. We are going to vote for the African National Congress. We are going to campaign for the African National Congress. But there are things that they must also address, because we are saying this is not going to be a blank check. We are not going to find ourselves in a situation, in a 10-year situation that has passed, wherein most of the thing will pass without many of them being questioned. questioned. Fewer of them would have been questioned. This time around, we'll question everything. We'll hold everybody accountable on the basis of the things that they've promised the people of South Africa as well as the workers.
Okay, Eskom sitting with around 420 billion rand debt burden. We know that it's very important to the running of the South African economy. We also know that if it needs to be changed in order to ensure that it works properly and reduces that debt burden, a consequence of that might be job losses. How do you as Cosatu then balance the need for Eskom to work for all South Africans versus the pain, as President Cyril Ramaphosa put it, when he was alluding to possible job losses?
It is unfortunate that when people are looting the state, the workers are carrying the burden. And we are not going to be blackmailed on the basis of the debts of Eskom and all of those things. All what we know is that the State Capture Commission of Inquiry is unraveling issues then and issues which have happened at Eskom. All what we are saying is that people who have stolen government money must be arrested, prosecuted, and the money must be recouped. So there is no way in which you'll want a government where there are problems as a result of the deployees of some organizations in government. Then we lose some huge money and then workers must bear the cost. It is uncalled for. So we are going to fight tooth and nail on that thing. Government must come up with ways at which they are going to see as to Eskom is working. Look at the IPPs. There is no even openness in relation to the IPPs, and they are expensive. The money that is used at IPPs, we think that it must be used properly and then be channeled into fixing the problems at Eskom. But then this must not come to the workers.
Talk to us about the march that took place today, the numbers. There is a sense that Cosatu is losing a little bit of his muscle and doesn't have the same strength that it had before.
Look, I even had Crisilda when she was speaking, and she made mention of NUMSA, that, it's not like we've appreciated that we no longer have NUMSA and would have known the background in relation to what would have happened to NUMSA. But Cosatu is coming back to its strength because we anticipated that we're going to have 10,000 workers arriving and participating in the march. And then our coordinators are telling us that we're having close to 12,000 workers. So we are happy with the turnout. We would have seen on the 27th of September 2016 when we are marching against state capture. So massive members of the federation were part of that. We accepted our weaknesses. We are correcting those weaknesses, and they are reflected on the ground. Even today, it was that kind of a reflection. Even in the morning when journalists came there, they were saying, but how many are you going to accept? We said, this is Gauteng. By 10 o'clock, you will have 10,000 workers here. And indeed, that's what has happened. We've seen the sea of red in the street of Johannesburg, despite Mother Nature.
Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. That was Amos Monyela, the provincial chairperson of Cosatu Gauteng.